Hello. Hello again, and welcome back to Claire and Emma Unplanted. Thank you very much for your suggestions. We absolutely love that name. Much prefer it to Claire and Emma Uncut, which sounded a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, I guess we didn't notice how dodgy it sounded.
Yep, we just started typing it in and realising that other things were coming up that maybe aren't associated with what we want to be associated with.
Yeah, so sorry if any of you have had a shock of that. That was not intentional. This is very safe for work, for the most part, content.
Yes. But today we listened to what some of your suggestions were. We're still kind of finding our feet with everything on this channel, but we thought we would talk a little bit about starting a YouTube channel, some things that we wish we'd known sooner, some tips,
advice, emotional advice for it.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of have a chat about our experiences, and if you're thinking of starting or if you're just interested, then maybe you'll find it interesting.
And how it's like affected us as well.
Yeah.
Because it's an odd thing to do.
And for both of us as well, it's become our full-time jobs, so it's a huge part of our life now that's gone beyond just being a hobby, which you can just absolutely do as a hobby.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about stuff. We've written down a couple of notes, just like as a general guideline to keep us somewhat on track.
Oh, we drifted a little bit in the last video.
But that's fun as well. So also we should say that feel free to like watch this video sort of podcast style, like if you're just pottering around the house doing stuff like that, that's absolutely okay. We're thinking about potentially working on podcast stuff in the future, but for now, feel free to watch it podcast style.
You don't need to physically watch us.
You can, because we're pretty. But you don't have to. So I think we could start with talking about like how we got into this as a sort of thing in general. So do you want to...
Yeah, so I over lockdown 2020, I opened up a little houseplant shop when I was furloughed from my job at the time, and I was kind of trying to think of different ways I could market my shop at that point, and my boyfriend at the time, partner at the time, said you should try getting on YouTube. And I was just like, okay, well maybe I'll give that a go. So I started kind of making little tips and tricks videos, and very quickly things with my shop just weren't working out. I moved back to my mum's for a while, and I just still had such a love for content creating. I found such a love of making the videos that even when I wasn't trying to promote something, I was just really enjoying meeting, connecting with people in the plant community, sharing things that I'd learned, things that I continued to learn, putting them on camera and chatting about them.
And you also kind of like naturally fell into it as well, because you do have a background in acting.
Yeah, I trained as an actor, and I also worked as an editor, so I mean, it felt...
It's kind of like joining all of the other bits of your life together into one cohesive thing.
Yeah, I mean, it felt very different. It's so different to acting, because obviously it's direct addressed to a camera, which is something that I don't
aren't supposed to do.
No, I don't think I've ever done in my life before. I've always been very much taught not to do that, don't look at the camera. So that felt very weird, and also usually when you're acting, you've got a character to fall back on, you've got
a script usually.
I did start off scripting all of my videos though, pretty much. I would write out very strategic notes and paragraphs and all these things that I wanted to make sure I covered, and I would be cutting the camera every 5 seconds sometimes because I'd be looking down and referring to my notes, whereas now I think I've got a little bit more comfortable with it. But yeah, that's kind of how I started. I guess I kind of fell into it and then fell in love with it. Yeah. How about you? Because you've been doing it for 4 years now?
Yeah, something like that.
A long time. I was going to say I only started 2.5 years ago. So
I started in 2019 because I kind of started really getting into houseplants and like my love for them, and I'm a very visual learner. I know there's tons and tons of articles out there, when if you type up like how to look after a monstera, there's tons of articles that can tell you that information, but I struggled to retain information that way, and I was really looking for videos on how, because like I learn better by listening and seeing and watching, And when I, like, back in 2019, that was kind of before houseplants popped off as much as they have now. It was one of those things where I was like, I can't find what I wanted, so why not use the skills I have? Because I'm trained as a photographer. I have my master's in photography, and I've done loads of photo and video stuff throughout my life.
Yeah.
So why not then take those skills that I have and turn it into what I'm looking for? Because like I think my goal at the beginning was trying to be what I wish I had when I was starting out with houseplants, or like proceeding with houseplants. And so that's kind of why I started it. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, if it goes somewhere, that's great. I think I was just finishing my master's at the time, so I eventually got a job and was kind of doing it on the side, and 2020 hit and life changed and I got furloughed and could do it more properly. And so I kind of did it a bit on and off for a while. Like there's definitely some, like if you look at like my posting schedule throughout history, there's definitely been times when I wasn't able to post for 3 months at a time because I was so stressed and burnt out, and like mental health issues and all that stuff from my other job. And it wasn't very consistent until I think after the pandemic time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I started gaining like money from it all. And
I think it's maybe important to say that we didn't set out, either of us though, to make this a job, did
no,
we? We didn't set
that wasn't
out
the plan.
No, it's just kind of ended up that way. We didn't have any intention. And also the other thing I was going to touch on is the fact that I know we've both just said like, I trained as an actor, I worked as an editor, you have a background in photography.
You don't need
that.
You don't need that.
You definitely don't need that. Those are just things that I think maybe drew us to creating in the first place, but you absolutely do not need to have any of that. We just so happen to, and it's one of the things we bonded over very early on, isn't it? We just so happen to have creative backgrounds in that area, but it does not mean that you need to.
No, you definitely don't need to. I do think that it does help. Because you're, at least for me, my mindset was kind of already in this sort of sphere of like creating and editing and stuff like that. And so because I already had my mind in that spot just through years and years of the training, I think it did benefit me. It would have been a lot more difficult and a lot more of a learning process and a learning curve had I not had basic editing abilities beforehand.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't need them. No. Like there's nothing saying you do, and you don't need like fancy equipment and stuff to start either.
I still to this day film on my phone. I have invested minimal money into actually. I've now nowadays I've got a tripod and stuff like that. But when I first started, I'm pretty sure I was just putting my phone on top of a pile of books, sitting at the end of my bed and and doing it that way.
Yeah, and like for the first few videos, the editing software I was using was the free editing software that came on my computer. I was using iMovie. And for the basic start of videos, that is really all you need. You can also edit videos on your phone nowadays.
Yeah, I know. And there's loads of people that make content telling you how to do that. It's like, it's actually very, it might seem quite overwhelming and daunting at first if it's not something that you're used to, but it is very intuitive, a lot of it. It is kind of, I think you pick it up very quickly. Yeah,
it's a learning curve, but it's not a super steep one, I don't think.
Yeah.
And like the more you do it, it's like a lot of it is practice as well. Like I'm still learning stuff about how to edit. So I learn stuff from Claire all the time because she has literally editing background. And so I'm like, how do I do this? Or just Google. Google is such a great resource for like, you can find how to like Photoshop anything, how to video edit almost anything, like how to do the green screen, like how to put text on this using this, like there's back ways of doing it, and front ways of doing it, and like there's just so much. There's a lot of really good, helpful information out there.
There's also things like Canva nowadays as well, when it comes to like making thumbnails and stuff like that.
You don't need to pay for Photoshop.
Exactly, or if you're not familiar with Photoshop or it seems a bit overwhelming, you can just go, right, I'll put my image in there and I'll click a few buttons and I'll try a few different things. It's how we made our thumbnail for
probably this one as well.
You're watching right now.
And Canva's free as well to use, unless you want to pay for premium, which you don't have to. I don't pay for premium.
That's pretty cool actually, because I didn't know much about it before.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. I use it for all of my marketing stuff, for, I mean, good growing stuff and plant swap stuff.
Yeah. What do you think you wish you knew sooner when you started on YouTube? If you could go back and give your early days self a piece of advice, what do you think it would be?
I think, like, consistency is key.
Yeah.
Because you can have the best content in the world, like the best video ever, and if you're not posting on a somewhat regular schedule, it could still very easily flop. Because YouTube and social media in general rewards consistency. They reward people that are using the platform regularly and like using all of the functions on the platform as well. And like that's why I'm trying to get more into reels and shorts and TikToks and stuff like that. Which is a completely different brain process to long form content.
I hate it. I really hate it.
I'm learning to love it.
Yeah.
Using those things and being consistent with it is much more important than I thought. And also not being like super precious about stuff.
I think that's a massive one, isn't it? Because especially when you're first starting, you really want to get things right. And a lot of the time you have, or at least I did, like a vision in my mind of where I wanted to be and the kind of video I wanted to create before I'd even filmed it. And if I didn't feel like I met the very high standard that I'd set for myself, I would be like, no, well, it's not going up then. And although it's very good to be picky, yeah, and make sure that you don't just put out something that you're going to go, oh God. You also do have to, the whole algorithm thing. I've come across channels before that I think are brilliant, like absolutely fantastic, putting out some really awesome stuff. And I'm like, why do they have barely any subscribers? Why is no one watching their videos? And you're so right, because maybe they'll do a video a week and then they'll go to a video every 6 months and then they'll come back and they'll do one every day, and it's not the consistency that the algorithm likes. So even if you film a load of videos, maybe put them out regularly once a week, or
I think
just do what feels manageable, but do it in a way that has some sort of schedule to it.
I think if I were starting now, I would suggest to a newcomer to try and post once a week if possible. It doesn't need to be a long video, but like maybe a 5 to 10 minute to an hour video. I don't care how long your videos are, but once a week if possible, every other week if possible. Sort of that's what I would recommend, I think, to start. And then, I mean, we're quite lucky at this point that it's our job and we're able to post things more frequently because this is what we're choosing to spend like our time on and like to work on. But yeah, I think perfectionism is a good one to try and rule out as well.
Yeah. You just said something interesting there as well. You said about the length of videos. I know when I first started kind of taking YouTube a bit more seriously and kind of thinking, right, okay, I actually want to build my channel and I actually want to kind of make this a more regular thing. I watched so many videos by people about starting YouTube channels and about the things that they recommend, and so many people were saying kind of 10 to 15 minute videos and stuff like that, and I think that's good, but I've got to say, and maybe it's just because I've built a little bit of an audience, but nowadays my longer videos perform so much better. And I was always very strict with myself at first to make sure I was sticking to a 10-15 minute rule. And when I started doing longer form content, that's when I actually started getting more comments, getting more interaction, building up my watch hours, building up my subscribers, all of those things that I don't know. I think that's a rule that I would personally just put to one side, because I don't think it necessarily means anything.
I make the content the length that you think it needs to be to either to get through the story that you're telling, or to do the repot in our case, or teach about this specific thing. If that topic only needs 3 minutes, post the 3 minute video.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to put as many ads on it if you get monetized, but
it has to be 8 minutes long if you would like to put. We
middle of the thing ads.
Yeah, we can go through monetization on here as well and how that all works. But at the same time, I always think, I mean, I do tend to make longer videos now, but if I did have a topic that I thought I could cover very easily in 5 minutes, even if that one video wasn't going to be making me loads of money, I'd still post that video at that length, because it is so much more. In fact, I did a deep dive a while ago into like different channels and why things perform well, and there's a creator whose name I can't remember, something called like Beluga.
We'll put it on the screen.
We'll put it on the screen. He's a young guy who basically made YouTube his full-time job and went from like 0 to 1 million subscribers in
I wish.
less than 6 months.
What?
From starting.
What?
And it was looking at how he did it and the reasons, like all the kind of tips and tricks, and there's a lot of these things that you can't apply to what we do, but I found it fascinating because he wasn't posting anything that, like, he was keeping the brain so engaged. He was using different sounds and using different fonts and like switching the screen every few minutes, that even though his videos were only like 3 or 4 minutes long, people were so captivated by what was going on. It signaled to the algorithm that even if this video is very short, people are watching 100% of the video, instead of it being a big long video that might be equally as engaging, but people are more likely to drop off. So it's just important to try and keep your audience engaged and entertained. No one's ever going to watch the whole thing. I never have.
I watch all of your videos.
I watch all of your videos as well, but we
it's different.
we're in the same niche. We like each other.
Do we?
But yeah, it's usually regularly when I look at my breakdown of stats, the average is about...
There's always going to be a drop off.
Yeah, there's always going to be a drop off. It just happens, even if you think you've created the best video.
Oh, I was also going to mention that, like, I think very often, and we talk about this all the time because we chat regularly about, like, oh, what videos are you doing now, blah, blah, blah. And one of us will be like, oh, I just filmed a video and I feel like it went horribly. Like, I'm so unhappy with how I felt during it. Like, it just doesn't come off well. Going through the edit and, like, not feeling great about it. And those, for some odd reason, tend to be the ones that just, like, work perfectly. And then we've got ones where we work so hard on them and then lots of edit and there's lots of information and we've done research and this, that, and the other. And then those just like, meh. And you're like, why is this happening? So
we
like,
joke about that all the time, don't we? We're like, oh god, I've just filmed the shittest video, therefore it's probably going to be one of the best performing. It's so weird.
Yeah, I think
it's so weird.
Not having any expectations is huge. And like, I try and remember that now. It's hard to remember because of course you want every single video you're making to succeed and be great and be fantastic, but that's not possible.
No, it's, I mean, you're always, and also you always are wanting to top what you did last as well. I think you should always be wanting to do that.
Striving for success is good, but you don't want to have too high hopes because then they just...
Well, I think just...
Reasonable expectations.
Reasonable expectations, exactly. And feeling like you're achieving what you feel you are capable of in that time and moment, and know that hopefully, and I think it is actually a good thing, when you look back on things that you did, sometimes even like a month ago, I watch things back, I mean, God, I look back at my channel when I first started and I'm like, God, have I come a long way. Like, I was so uncomfortable, like so much has changed, but at that point, that felt good for me. Yeah. And it's kind of nice having that there as a little mark of being like, right, well at that point that was my best, this is what I feel like is my best now, where am I going to be in a few years time? It gives you such a nice boost, I think. Definitely. It's very good for your confidence as well. Yeah. Because starting is terrifying.
Oh my god. Starting this channel is terrifying me.
Yeah, me too.
Like, after we filmed the last video and announced that we were going to start a channel, both of us were just like, we weren't speaking to each other, and we were just like sitting in the room like, I'm scared. Are you scared? I'm scared.
Yeah, it's a really big thing. And I think like putting yourself out online in general is scary. Yeah. I know for me, I was thinking about like, oh god, people that I went to school with are gonna like potentially see this, like people that I don't like are gonna see this. It can be a really big challenge. Yeah. But also it can give you such a level of like, you know what? Fuck them, I'm doing me, I'm gonna smash this, even if my channel doesn't grow to be huge, like this is me doing me. And it's a really empowering, I think is the right word.
Yes.
A really empowering thing to do. And if you feel like you can speak passionately about anything, there's gonna be people that are gonna wanna listen to that. There's niches of all sorts.
Yeah, if you really like stamps, make a channel about stamps.
That's so random.
It was the first thing I thought of, alright? I used to collect stamps when I was little, did I tell you that?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't know if you did.
I don't think I tell many people that.
Oh.
But I had like books with stamps from letters that only letters that like we received. Yeah. We wouldn't like go out and buy like collections of stamps or whatever. Which, there's no problem with that if that's what you do. But yeah, I collected stamps.
Oh. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel about stamps, you've already got yourself a subscriber.
Yeah, and like, oh my gosh, at the beginning, I don't know if you did this, but like, I feel like this is kind of embarrassing, but I would send like literally immediately after any of my videos went out, I would send a text message to all of my friends, anyone who like might support me. I'd be like, go watch my video right now, and like watch it all the way through, and you have to do this, and like make Joe watch it on a different phone, and like somebody else watch it here and there, and I'm watching on a different account, and like all of
I would put it on like a WhatsApp group to my friends, and I was like, hello, please can you just, even if you don't actually watch it, please can you just play it
all the way through.
Yeah, because I mean, but you kind of, you need that at first, and I know there's kind of Facebook groups that do lots of like sub for sub and stuff like that. Would not recommend doing that. It like I did it at first.
Yeah.
Like I did it when I was like, I had like less than 10 subscribers, and I was like, I'd like to get them up. But it's actually very damaging for your channel long term to do it. Because
the people aren't necessarily within your niche, and they're not going to regularly watch your content.
Exactly.
So your numbers are skewed and not in a good way.
Yeah, if you've got loads of subscribers, but your subscribers that you've got aren't watching the videos that you make, that signals to the YouTube algorithm that that video is probably not very interesting, not worthy of being watched, and therefore it's not going to show it to as many people, so it won't be appearing on people's homepages.
And that's why also going viral, it might feel like an amazing thing, but going viral for me on Instagram, I had one video that I think got like a million or 5 million or something, a reel.
Oh my god, so cool.
That got 5 million views. And I gained 10,000 followers on Instagram in a week.
Oh my god, wow.
And then I lost followers for a year.
Whoa, oh yeah, you did say that.
So I think this was like 2021. I went from 30,000 to 40,000. And if you've looked at my Instagram recently, I have 42,000. And that's because for the longest time, so many of these people that followed me for this one video, which happened to be a silly thing that I was doing, they weren't in it for my sort of grander plant content. So they were slowly dropping off and not following my stuff and not liking my stuff. And that was telling the Instagram algorithm, you're not worthy of being put out. Which is so frustrating. And after a while, I just was like, I need to stop looking at numbers. I don't care anymore. And I'm like, I'm happy that my video made like 5 million people laugh. Like, yeah absolutely. But at the same time, it was like quite damaging at the time for my brand.
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe if you're not, if you're quite malleable and you haven't kind of formed the kind of content that you want to maybe kind of, I don't know, stick to, it would be an idea, and this might be a silly idea, but when you are kind of, if you do go viral, because it can happen to anyone nowadays, like the weirdest things go viral, to kind of maybe, whilst there's a lot of eyes on your channel or your page or whatever it is, create more content that's similar to that, to keep that audience there, to keep them engaged, and then kind of intermix that with the content that you want to create whilst still feeding the thing that they're there for.
Yeah.
It's like we were saying to my friend who is just starting a YouTube channel earlier, he is going to recreate one of a video that he made last year that's done really well on his channel, and I was saying, like, yeah, if something's doing well and it's still getting views, think about how you can do it better and do it again, because you're going to hit another audience. There's going to be people that want to see that.
Yeah.
It's like tour videos, like we do houseplant tour videos, and they tend to perform pretty well because people love a tour, people love an unboxing. There's certain types of video that people are going to be more drawn to. So it's just kind of about playing the algorithm a little bit.
But also playing in the content you're making and trying new things and experimenting, because if you don't experiment and try new things, you'll never know whether or not it's gonna work. And it might fail and it might flop, and that is terrifying. Like, fear of failure is one of my biggest fears, and like fear of being a disappointment. And like, I was terrified to tell my parents that I started a YouTube channel. I waited until I had like 10-20 videos up, because I was so scared that they wouldn't, like, they would think, oh, like, it's just a fad, like, you're just doing something and you're never gonna, like, they were the most supportive people in the world. Like, they were so kind, and now my mum and my dad watch like all of my videos all the time.
So
and
sweet that they do that.
I feel really lucky that I have that relationship with my parents, but I was terrified. I was so scared that I was going to disappoint them and be deemed a failure for doing this.
Yeah.
Which is completely off topic of what I was just saying, but like trying things and don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Like, it is scary, but
you figure it out as you start to do it, and you won't learn if you don't try different things.
Yeah.
Nowadays, obviously we are in a very specific niche, being houseplants, but it kind of applies, I think, to pretty much everything. And like I now, and I think we're pretty much the same, we'll try and balance a mix every single month of purely educational content, so that people that are searching for an answer are using Google as a search engine will be able to find exactly what they came from, cut the bullshit, it's just there, the information that they need. And then accompany that with something that has viral potential, like an unboxing or a tour or a favourite plants of the month video or something like that. And then some more personal stuff, like some personal repotty, chatty, catching up.
Yeah, or just like updates on what's going on with my plants right now and stuff like that. Yeah, it is about like creating that balance, and we wouldn't know to do the unboxing video if we didn't try it. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you see other people's like Shein try-on hauls and stuff like that. You see them doing really well, and it's not my sort of thing. Yeah. But there's clearly such a big audience out there for that. And there's a fantastic creator actually who is, I think she's only been on YouTube for a couple of years. Her name's Taylor Bell. I feel like I've learned a lot from her. She doesn't, what does she actually do? I think she's a...
Sorry if the camera moves.
Having a little itch against the tripod. Yeah, hello. She's a management consultant. That's something I've personally got no interest in. But she does, I think, probably like a video a month or something. She's only done, I don't know, maybe like 50 videos, and she's got 250,000 subscribers.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I have just spent a lot of time like studying her, and she talked about it a while ago, saying that every video she makes, she tries to make it fun and engaging, but also deliver information subtly so people can learn something without feeling like they're learning.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the joy of creating it in a video format.
Yeah.
You can feed people lots of information without them feeling like they have to sit down and study.
Yeah.
And you, like me as a creator, I learn from doing that as well.
I think it'd also be good to chat about like the differences between doing YouTube as a hobby versus a job, because we've both done both.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say is like, what would you suggest? Would you suggest people just like going straight in and trying to do it as a job?
No, personally, no, I don't think so. I think if you set out to make it, if you immediately set out with the intention of it at some point being your primary earner, you're going to put an insane amount of pressure on yourself, and you're going to be following your stats too much. I mean, it's important to look into your stats, and it's important to kind of figure out what they all mean.
Keep an eye on them, at least.
It's meant to be fun as well.
Yeah.
Like, you're meant to enjoy it. It's a cool, creative thing to do.
But at the same time, I also think you can't really go into it, like into YouTube in general, if you don't like have that sort of like self-motivation. Like, you can do it as a hobby. Yeah. But like, you can't do it as a job if you don't have that sort of your own willpower, your own self-determination, because nobody else, like, unless you've got somehow as a new YouTuber have a like manager, an agent, like, I don't know how you got that, but if you do, fantastic. But for the most part, you're probably gonna have to like do that yourself. And if you're not passionate about what you're speaking about, as well as creating the content, like, if you don't like editing, you're gonna struggle. Yeah. Because like, you can do it and you can get around it. Maybe that part of your job feels like a job. It's fine, there's parts of our job that feel like jobs sometimes, but I think part of why we both are pretty good at it is because editing is still, for me at least, enjoyable. Yeah, I mean, it's like different stages to the job. Like, I love planning my videos, I love filming them. There's days where I don't want to do any of these things, but you just kind of have to make yourself do it if it is your job. Yeah. But then also afterwards, I'm like, oh, I can make a nice cup of tea and I can sit on the sofa and I can put this video together, and I do enjoy all the stages of it. Yeah. But yeah, self-motivation is so important, isn't it? Because
again, with the consistency thing, like, maybe if it's just a hobby and you don't have any, like, you don't need to be making money from it, then it's completely up to you how you do it. But
absolutely.
Chances are, maybe if you're still watching this video, you are thinking that you'd like to make some money from it. I don't know.
Or you just like hearing us talk.
Yeah, maybe you just love listening to us. But yeah, I think what we kind of touched on in the last video, don't start talking about something, like putting yourself into a niche if you don't feel like it's something that you are going to love forever.
Yeah. I mean, though, you don't have to love it forever, but if you want to continue making content about that thing that you're niching yourself down to, like,
it's like if I suddenly decided that I didn't really want houseplants anymore, I was going to get rid of them all and turn my channel into a cushion cover making channel, I would probably lose the majority of my audience.
That's why people who do like lifestyle channels and stuff, I feel like they have so much flexibility.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's the easiest one to get into, but I feel like anything that you do in your life can be part of your lifestyle channel.
Yeah, totally.
But that being said, the market is like hugely saturated with people trying to get into
it's very difficult.
that. And I think part of the reason why I was able to be somewhat successful in this, or in my houseplanting channel, was because at the time there was one other UK plant YouTuber.
Kalia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, well, I won't be exactly like her because obviously we're different people.
Yeah.
But, like, the market, it wasn't saturated. And it's getting more saturated now, and that doesn't mean you can't, like, you can't succeed. And
you just have to think about how you can do things in a way that other people aren't currently
differentiate
doing
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. And the thing as well with the kind of like lifestyle channel vlog, things like that, I think you'll notice very much, even looking at our channels, when you first start on YouTube, people don't care about you. They do not care. The way you're gonna, in my opinion anyway, succeed on YouTube is by starting out creating searchable videos. Things, people go there for an answer, you give them the answer, they think, oh, that was useful, maybe I'll subscribe. And as time goes on, then you can start doing more chatty videos and bringing your audience with you, because no one can, like, it could be the most fantastic video in the world, but if it's like a day in my life, unless you're doing something very interesting in your life, like going for a skydive or doing something that people are going to be like, whoa, that's cool. If it's a standard day in your life, people are like, they don't know you. Why should they care? And that sounds like a really brutal thing to say, but
it's true.
If you click onto your YouTube homepage and you see someone that you do not know just saying, this is what I do in a day, are you going to click on that, or are you going to click on something or someone that you're genuinely interested in because you've had a chance to get to know them?
Yeah.
So taking away the personal at first and building that up gradually, I think is a good thing.
Yes, and I think also this channel is a bit different than if you were starting like from scratch. I personally wouldn't have started this channel first.
No.
Like I said, people don't give a shit who you are. Like, if we didn't have somewhat of a following somewhere else of people who have ended up growing to like us personally, there wouldn't be anyone here. The only reason why we have so many subscribers is because we have previous channels that people like have grown to love us. I hope, I think. And
no,
that
we're in a fortunate position with how we're going into this channel now compared to how we were when we first started.
Yeah, and so it's difficult to compare, like, if you're just starting out a channel, like your friend earlier, he's just starting out, and I was like, oh, we've got 800 subscribers or whatever, and he's like, you have 800 subscribers? And I'm like, yeah. But to us, that doesn't feel like many right now, because we're used to having the, like, bigger things somewhere else.
But I think, bearing in mind, we've posted, this will be our second video on our channel at the moment. That's very good going. I think I posted probably 20 videos before I got 800 subscribers, if not more.
It took me 6 months to get monetized, and that is quick.
That's quick. That's, I think, quicker than I got monetized. I think it took me, I did take, I think, a 3-month break, but it took me, I think, about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, and when I say monetized, I was making like $2 a day.
I was going to say, I remember when I first started making money on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god, I've been approved for monetization. First day, I think I made 25p, and I was like, yes!
I meant $2 a month in that as well, not even $2 a day. $2 a day, I would have been like, screw screaming.
It's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, like if it's a hobby and if it's something that, I mean, at that point, like I think both of us were just doing for fun on the side.
Yeah.
Making a little bit of money every month.
Yeah.
It's a nice way. It's a nice way to be rewarded for the time and effort that you're putting in, because there's a lot of hobbies where you don't make anything.
Yeah. Slash side note, if you're creating a YouTube as a side hustle and you are making over $1,000 or pounds or something a year, you probably need to pay taxes. So don't tax evade.
Yes, no, that's a very good point actually, and it's all different with like the American side, because obviously Emma's got dual citizenship. You have to do.
I pay taxes in both the US and the UK.
Oh, I feel so sorry for you, because yeah.
It's alright.
YouTube isn't always, you can make serious money on YouTube, but you can also really scrape by, and it depends, it obviously varies on the month. There's no salary. Some months are going to be amazing and some months are going to be really quite crap, and you're going to have to really fight for your earnings.
Yeah, it's scary as well, and I think, at least within the houseplant community, there's definitely a season. And like,
yeah,
basically, I think we're at the start of the season now, going through to like September. That's our, at least in my history of all my analytics, that's my good season. And then you get to like November, December, January, February, and my views drop, my earnings drop, everything is lower because people aren't thinking about these things as much.
Yeah.
And it's just something that happens, and so it's not a guaranteed, there is no sort of guaranteed income, and that is kind of terrifying as well. And if YouTube just like disappeared, what would you do?
I often wonder about
I don't know what I would do. I'd have to go get a job.
Yeah, very quickly. But I think actually what you just said about different times of the year, thinking about how you can make, well, this is a really loud beeping, sorry if you can hear that. But thinking about how you can kind of make your content seasonal is very good. Obviously it's great for the niche that we're in. Like when it gets to the darker, colder months, I usually start doing things about, I don't know, grow lights, heat mats, stuff like that. And then when it gets to the summer months, how to optimize your growing for summer, like things that people are going to be looking up that are currently relevant at that time of year.
And planning in advance for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you're into fashion and you're doing like fashion styling videos, it's like, okay, well, just before summer, you're probably going to want to start doing those, like, how to style your bathing suit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you go into like coats when it comes to like autumn, and like thinking about it based on the time of year and kind of planning in advance for that is kind of important, and you kind of have to have foresight. Yeah. Lots of foresight to like get things like planned at the right time of year, because you could do a grow lights video now and it will not perform as well as you doing one in October.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And I think as well, just being aware of who you consider your like competition to be, because there's always
my competition.
I mean, we technically are. I mean, we're in the same niche, and people will watch
we have the same job.
Videos. We have the same job. But I think like it's really important to know the other people that your audience might be engaging with and might be watching, and the sort of content that they like. Like when I started out, I was looking at channels like Plant Arena, who is probably, I would say, the biggest houseplant YouTuber in maybe bar Summer Rain Oaks.
Yes, but she doesn't make YouTube videos really, does she? Still?
Yeah, she does. I'm pretty sure she does.
I never really watched Summer Rain.
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I would look at their videos. I would, even if they weren't always my sort of creators, even if I didn't love watching them, I would look at what was performing really well for them, think about why it was performing well, what people seemed to like, what they didn't, and try and be just like a little bit strategic about it. And sometimes if I was having like a complete anti-creative writer's block moment, thinking, God, what am I going to create today? And I still to a certain extent do this to this day. I'll go onto their videos.
I do that on your channel, on Wild Fern, and like creators that I admire, and see like the kind of stuff that they're doing.
Popular uploads that they've done recently, and think, okay, cool, how can I take an element of that and how can I make that mine? How can I find a way to give? It's kind of what we were saying about like if something's going viral, feed them more of that stuff. If people are clearly enjoying something, think about how you can add to that. It's not about stealing people's ideas. No. It's about... And
obviously give people credit if you are literally taking their idea.
Oh my God, yes, 100%. Don't just go in and make the exact same video.
Yeah.
But yeah, finding ways to carry on expanding the thing that people are clearly really wanting.
Yeah.
That's it really, isn't it? I mean, if I watch a video that makes me howl with laughter and I'm like, damn it, the video's just finished. If I see another video pop up that's kind of similar, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to watch that then.
But at the same time, it's super duper frustrating, and I get this a lot as well with like, so we kind of know what each other's schedules are, and for the most part I try, and if I know you're doing a specific video about something, I'll try not to make a super similar video like right after it or like right by it. It happens sometimes just because it happens, but there's times when it's like, oh, I just posted my prop box tour, and I noticed the day before mine went out, Wild Fern posted her prop box tour, and I'm like, damn it, now it looks like I'm copying her.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'd filmed and edited, and like my video was up and ready, but like you don't want to. I get nervous that people are gonna think that that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I know, I get that as well.
There's never that intention.
Absolutely, but I think knowing that you are, like, because there are so many niches on YouTube, knowing that you're doing something other people are also going to be doing it is kind of quite a good thing. And I can't remember who said this. I would credit them if I could, but I can't remember who said it. But I remember when I first started hearing someone say that if you enter into a niche doing something that is not being done on YouTube, something that's brand new, no one else is covering, you are either a genius or you're a total idiot.
Yes.
Because chances are, if there's enough interest in something, there's already going to be a niche for it. YouTube has been about for a while now.
Yeah, so decades at this point. Not decades, at least 1 decade.
Yeah. So I think going into a niche and thinking, oh, well, there's already people doing that, there's going to be, if it's something that's going to probably do well, because people start creating content around things that they're passionate about. And like I said earlier in the video, if people are passionate about it and they want to hear about it, then they're going to go to something that's being done.
Also, it's really important to remember that attention is, in theory, infinite. Obviously, attention span is not, but attention is infinite. And just because like you posted a video, or just because Wildford posted that video and then I posted it after, it doesn't mean that people aren't going to watch mine because they just watched hers.
100%.
Unless it's like a super informational one. And even still, people will watch multiple videos to learn the same thing because people have different perspectives. It's not a finite resource. Yeah. And I think it's difficult to remember that. Like, people, just because people watch that one doesn't mean they're not going to watch mine. And I think that's important for us to remember when, like, comparing ourselves to each other as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we are literally doing the exact same job, but it's important to remember that just because you did it doesn't mean that I can't. Obviously, if it's something that was your original idea, I would credit you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, we do things, and I think so long as you kind of try to stay as true to yourself as you can as a creator when you start making content, you are going to be different from other people. You are going to do things differently, because I mean, we're like best friends and we do the same job, but we do it just naturally in a different way because we are very different people. And I know that, like, thinking of like Harley G, Wild Fern, like all of the kind of the big planty YouTubers, they've all got very different energies and very different vibes, and they're all very specific to them.
And there's potentially people that like you and not me, and vice versa.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely,
completely fine.
Yeah.
Like,
but you're like, that's the joy of YouTube, isn't it? You find someone that you feel like you connect with and that you want to listen to, and especially when it's informational. There's going to be loads of people doing the same kind of thing, and there's going to be one person that you learn more from because you genuinely just connect with them a little bit more.
And that's your learning styles are going to be different as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got to remember not to compare to yourself.
Yeah.
No, you should only compare to yourself.
Yes.
That, I think,
it's the healthier way.
Yeah, as long as, I know it's freaking hard to say, because just like naturally as a society we compare. Like, the only person you really need to be comparing yourself to is you, and that can be hugely difficult, but you are your main competition, because like, as long as you're striving to be better than your previous self, that's what matters. And if your stats are going up, that's positive. Of course, you might have low points. Yeah. But comparing yourself to you is the most important thing. And I know it's hard to, like, we naturally compare to each other. Yeah. And like, and to people outside, and like to people who are doing really, really well, and are even within our nation, within and outside of our nations. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's so easy to compare and be like, oh, why is their video doing really well and mine's not? And it's you can't think like that. Yeah. I mean, we both have moments of it though, don't we? Like, sometimes you will spend
hours, days, weeks, months even sometimes making a video that you are so proud of and you think it's going to do amazingly, and then it's one of the shitty ones that you said, oh god, this is going to be awful, one of those that overtakes it, and you go, oh okay, well maybe people just don't want to watch that kind of thing, or like it feels like your hard work hasn't paid off. That happens to all of us, like creators big and small.
Yeah.
It's just like you said about comparing yourself to yourself. So long as, I think, you can go back and you can look at your video from a year ago or something like that. Sorry, Yoli's just knocked the tripod again. If you can go back and you can look at a video from back then and put it next to one that you're making now and go, you know what, no, I do see an improvement. I do see that I've come a long way. Even if your stats aren't doing exactly what you want them to be, which again happens, like views do fluctuate.
And it also could have just been that you posted it at like a time that just wasn't convenient for people at that time, and you had there's no way of knowing that information.
Yeah, and that's another thing I guess kind of to think about. I mean, I will always try, because I don't have a strict nowadays posting schedule for my videos. I aim to do 2 to 3 videos a week, but I will usually think to myself, like when you get to, I think when you get to 1,000 subscribers or something, you can see a little breakdown of like where your audience is based, the age range. You can kind of see your demographics a little bit better, which is very useful. Yeah. But I just, like, if you don't have access to that yet, what I did at first is I would think, right, okay, well, I'm in the UK. I expect quite a lot of my viewers are also in the UK. What would be a time that I would sit down and watch a YouTube video? Would it be just before beds? Would it be just after I got home from work? Would it be first thing in the morning? Again,
on my lunch break?
Yeah, depending on the kind of video you're creating. If it's a informational, educational video, maybe post it at a weekend when people have time to sit down and want to learn. If it's a fun video, maybe post it after a long, hard day at work when people just want to chill out. Yeah. Just kind of tailoring your content a little bit to who you think might be watching, so that they essentially kind of have early access to it.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, like, I don't want to contradict that, because that is true.
No, that's just my experience.
Doesn't matter really at the same, like, you could post all of your videos at midnight, and it might not be as ideal, because having that, like, the first few minutes, hours, it feels like having views in that helps. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily...
It's a tricky one, because in theory you are actually right. I know people say that the posting time doesn't long-term affect the performance of a video.
Short-term it might, though.
Short-term it might. Like, at first it might not perform as well as you want it to, but I'm thinking specifically, I made a video probably about a year and a half ago now, and all of a sudden, when I was actually moving into my house here, all of a sudden the views on that video just went full, and it went up by, I think, like 50,000 views or something in the space of like a week. And I was like, I haven't done anything to that video. I haven't promoted that video anywhere. It had maybe got a few thousand views before that, but it suddenly just shot up. And I was like, it's funny how like that obviously was nothing to do with posting time. That just was a topic that people suddenly became a little bit more interested in, or a few people started clicking on that video and YouTube went, okay, we'll show it to a few more. And then they started clicking, and then it thought, oh, because I mean, it's the thing to remember as well. I know I'm blabbering a little bit.
No, like, this is kind of our special interest.
Yes, I mean, we really like it. But the thing to remember as well is that YouTube is going to put out your content more if they think they can make more money from it.
By selling ads on it.
By selling ads. And yeah, so I mean, a lot of the time, if you've got a video that does in the first half an hour perform really quite well, this is the only reason why I think posting time can be important in that sense. If you've got a video that does really well in the first half an hour of posting, or let's say an hour of posting, YouTube is going to go, okay, people are wanting to watch this video, so let's show it to a few more, because we can make more money from this. And then you will start reaching a wider audience, because if YouTube thinks that they're going to earn big from it, they're going to put it out more, because they want to keep people there and they want to make as much money as possible. And they do take a very large percentage of your earnings. I think it's a 60-40, and they take 60% and we're left with 40%.
And also, I think you told me this, that like the ads that get put on your videos kind of depend on the niche, because there are targeted ads based off of the viewer. And so the ads that we're getting aren't on our houseplant videos aren't necessarily going to be as high paying as those of someone who does like business videos
or
fashion, because those ads are going to cost more and like make more money. I don't quite fully understand it, but
So-
we might get paid less per view than
Yeah.
someone who does a fashion video, purely because the ad revenue for YouTube isn't as high based off of the advertiser.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way I kind of understand it is if you take all of the people in the world that watch YouTube, what is the majority going to be more interested in? Making money or houseplants? Like, houseplants is a very small percentage, so advertisers aren't going to be paying as much to put money on those kind of videos. Whereas if it's a fashion video, there are millions of fashion companies out there that make big money on a daily basis, and they can afford to pay to put ads on those kind of videos. So if you're watching a try-on haul, or if you're watching a what pair of trousers go with this top,
Yeah, a styling video.
That's the one. Then you
Clara knows fashion.
I know fashion so well. But they're going to obviously be paying more, and therefore you are probably more likely going to be earning a little bit more money from that. Because the way that you earn on YouTube really varies. I've got some videos that haven't had that many views, and they've been some of my biggest earners, and I've got videos that have had 500,000 views, and you would have thought they'd made me a ton of money, and they actually haven't.
And the annoying thing is that we have no control over what ads go in. We can control where they go in the video, and how many there are in the video,
Yeah.
but we cannot control what you're seeing in those ads.
Nope.
And I think I'm right in saying that if you watch an ad all the way through, you earn more.
Yeah,
we
so
earn more from it.
For creators, like, I mean, I do it with your videos.
Yeah.
I do it with Jamie Rains, like certain creators that I absolutely love. The longer that you let an advert play throughout the video,
click on it.
you click on it, yeah, that's gonna again signal good things, and that's gonna mean that maybe that creator makes, I don't know, 2p more per view or something.
That's a really high jump. I'm talking like 0.00075p.
Yeah, but then also when it comes to adverts as well, strategically placing your ads, you can put really, in theory, as many in there as you want to, but again, if you overload your video with adverts, then people are going to zone out, they're going to switch off, they're not going to want to carry on watching the video. So for me, a general rule of thumb is if it's a video that's under kind of 15 minutes, I'll usually do a short ad every 5 minutes. If it's an hours long video, I'll do it every 15 to 20 minutes. So it doesn't feel like, it's kind of like when you watch it, or back in the day, you watch a TV show and there's ad breaks in that will last 5 minutes every 15 minutes or so. It doesn't feel too overwhelming, and it doesn't feel like, oh God, here's another advert, but it's still enough to just...
Yeah, it's a difficult balance, because that is how we do make money from YouTube. But at the same time, we do need to think about the viewer experience, and the balance between putting loads of ads and making a lot of money, but like potentially not, because not enough people are watching the video. Like it's not a science nor an art. It's just confusing.
Yeah, and I mean that's why a lot of the time as well you might see creators that don't have as many, or don't have maybe even any adverts in their video, but they will be like, today's video sponsor is Raycon, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely can't, like, as your channel starts to grow, there are going to be companies, brands that
reach out
and would like to work with you, and
you can also reach out to them. It's scary, and I'm bad at it.
I haven't done that because it scares me, but you can, yes, you absolutely can do that. It's got to be a bit ballsy, and I am not.
I just find it really uncomfortable being like, hey, can you send me free stuff and pay me?
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's important to remember, though, that we're
doing them a service, obviously.
They probably pay, this is just off the top of my head, but they might pay £10,000 to have a day's worth of adverts put on YouTube videos, or they can pay a few hundred, or however much you're charging, to work with a creator who is talking about their products to the audience that they want to reach in more detail. So, yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing to do that. It is just a little bit frightening.
Yeah, and I think also with that, it's scary to feel like you're selling out by putting ads in and doing sponsored content. I mean, I'm very picky about the ones that I decide to do.
Exactly.
And if you haven't noticed, I haven't done many for quite a while. I've done gifted stuff, but not sponsored paid stuff, because if you're reaching out to me, I want to actually really freaking love your product in order to do it, and I want it to be relevant to my audience.
I think it's this thing when you've built up such a trust with your audience, and you don't want to be going in there and promoting stuff
Like,
that you don't
I'm not
really
gonna sell.
believe in.
I'm not gonna sell you a microwave on my houseplant channel.
I was gonna say, I get emails from people sometimes being like, "We've got this really lovely, I don't know, like table.
Yeah.
Would you like to?" I think that's a stupid example, but that's something that is so unrelated to what I do, and I'm like, I'm sure it's very lovely, but like, why are people going to care about this on my channel? Like, keep it relevant to what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like I think it depends as well though, because there's people like Wildford and Unplanned Parenthood who do like ad for like sheets or something, but it kind of fits within their vibe as well, because they're talking about lifestyle stuff, and so that's again why I said if you're in lifestyle stuff, you have a much broader scope of what you can have sponsors for, because then you can have like a sponsor that's a razor, but like I would feel weird doing a razor sponsorship on my houseplant channel, unless it was in a vlog.
Shaving my fairy plants.
Yeah, like it just. It's a balance. A lot of this whole thing is a balance.
Yeah,
and we're like juggling so many things at once.
Definitely, but I mean, this is all stuff. If you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel now, this is probably like a conversation. Like, I got one of my first sponsorships that I did is when we'd first become friends, and I didn't know anything about it. I was like, how much do I charge? How do I reply to them? What do I do? And I remember coming to you, and you kind of talked me through it, because you don't know, nobody knows about this stuff.
There's no freaking information online about how to do it.
Absolutely, and the answer is that you as the creator are the one that has control, and you go in there with a price that feels right for you. I mean, there's no set.
You might get rejected.
You might get rejected. You might.
And I have been. I've turned things down because they weren't able to pay me what I thought my value was.
Yeah, and I think thinking about it in terms of if you're collaborating with a small business, you might want to charge less because you know that they don't have as much money to put into it. Whereas if, I don't know, Patch Plants, Tesco, a big corporation reaches out to you, you know that they've got money. Not that you should take the piss, but you know that they've got more advertising money to be able to invest in you as a creator. So you can usually pitch things a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But if you want us to go into more detail about that sort of stuff, then we will.
Advertising mode.
But if you are starting a channel, you probably don't have to worry about that for the time being. Those are details, and those are things that you learn as you go. But what about, I know we spoke a little bit about the fear of starting a channel, because sometimes people that you know, or people that you don't like, or bullies, or anything you might see, but how have you dealt with negativity online, like negative comments, anything like that?
I feel like in general I'm quite lucky in that my audience, and I think you probably have the same because we've got similar niches, is that my audience is like 95% of the time super duper wholesome and kind and supportive. And I think that just might be part of the houseplant community in general. Like I've luckily not dealt with too many hate comments, but every once in a while you'll get them, and it is so difficult to like remove yourself from that, because in these situations it's us putting ourselves out online, which I know we're asking for it. If we're putting ourselves out online, that's not the case. But like it sometimes feels like it's a personal attack, and like they're commenting on personal things that like you can't change.
I know. I mean, people online can be, you get idiots everywhere, but keyboard warriors, people that are hidden behind a screen and feel the need to put something out there can be some really horrible people, and I think you've just got to kind of let that, as easy as it is to say, it's not always easy to do, but you've just kind of got to let it bounce off you a bit.
Water off a duck's back. Yeah,
because those people are the minority, and they shouldn't have an impact on you. I remember having a very nasty one a while ago, that someone that started creating lots of different accounts, and he was like, I'm now gonna, the whole thing started was I got a comment on one of my videos, I don't want to say the exact comment just in case this person's watching, but a comment on one of my videos talking about another creator in my niche in a very negative way. In hindsight, I shouldn't have responded. I should have just left it or removed the comment or whatever. But I decided to defend the person in the comments. It's about a year ago, and I just said, you may feel this way, please don't bring that over to my video. I didn't kind of bite back, but I didn't let it go either. And they came back with a comment saying, well, you were clearly just as bad as them, so I'm now going to use all of my accounts to spam all of your horrible videos with hate. I know where you live. Like, it freaked me out. And then
That's
over
terrifying.
the course of that evening, I had about 7 different brand new accounts commenting on loads of my videos saying horrible things.
But it's also engagement.
That's the thing to think about as well. Yeah, comments mean engagement, but
it sucks that that's the kind of engagement you're getting, and it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of doing your channel a favor.
It kind of was, however, I highly doubt he was watching the videos through. I think he was probably going there, doing a comment and fucking off. But
well, if it takes longer than 30 seconds, it counts as a view.
True. But actually, I was going to say the bit where he said, no, it's very true. But one thing that I would probably mention as well for everybody, but especially if you are, I don't want to generalise, but if you're a woman or if you are in some way deemed vulnerable, just be careful about showing things like where you live and stuff like that. It's very unlikely that anything's going to happen, but there are some weirdos out there. They sometimes end up on your videos and they can sometimes figure things out.
Don't show out your windows.
Especially if you've got landmarks and stuff like that. Like, the only bits that I feel comfortable nowadays showing are the bits where I'm like,
there's no signs, there's no identifiable things. Like, I'll show out my windows if you can't tell where
exactly
it is, or like I'll show the foxes that are outside my house, which are so freaking cute.
I know.
But like, you can't tell where that is.
Yeah, I mean, you've just got to protect it's your security, your identity. You've just got to be a little bit careful about those things, in the same way that you probably wouldn't post a picture of your front door with your street number and put it as your profile picture on Facebook. Like, always assume that there's some negative or weird people lurking there as well. There might not be, but I think it's just
better safe
internet
than sorry.
safety.
Yeah. better safe than sorry. You don't want anything that's avoidable. Like, you may as well try and do.
Yeah.
But
even if you are a very, very small creator, it's something that I've always thought about.
Yeah, that's really scary that they were like saying we know where you live and stuff. That would terrify me too.
It really, really freaks me out. It really freaked me out. And there's not much with YouTube. There's not a lot of creator support. There's a chat within the studio where you can get certain answers to some things, but you can't ever call YouTube. Like, if you've got questions, there's no one you could call. I've had so many times before where I've wanted to ask so many questions about things, or something's been going really wrong and I just want to pick up the phone and speak to someone.
Because then it'll get solved immediately.
It is stupid that such a massive multi-billion pound fucking corporation does not have a helpline. It's just outrageous. But it is how it is. So you've just kind of got to put things in place for yourself and deal with things. And speak to other creators as well.
I definitely find it useful when... My favorite thing to do now is if I ever get like a negative or a hate comment, I will screenshot it because I think it's hilarious, and then send it to Claire being like, lol. And like, just taking it and being like, yeah, this person's dumb, and like sending it to somebody else or like showing it to my partner, that helps because they can kind of help make sure I'm not in a bad headspace about it, but 2, like, just kind of help you wash it away, like, let it not phase me. I feel like I have, in general, a fairly tough skin most of the time, so if someone says, like, your voice sounds dumb, which I have gotten that comment before.
Aww, what a lovely voice.
But, like, or, like, your accent's weird and annoying, and, like, stop pretending, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just like, you obviously don't know me. Like, unless it was someone that I actually cared about posting, you should need to remember that these are strangers that don't actually know you. And, like, their opinion, though it does sometimes feel like it matters, it doesn't matter.
And although it probably feels so incredibly personal at that moment, someone that is going to sit at home behind their computer screen and do that to you is very likely going to be doing that to pretty much every other person that they watch. It's not about you. It's about the fact that they feel like they have a voice in some capacity online that they probably can't.
And they're probably unhappy with themselves as well.
Like, definitely.
Maybe it's an insecurity that they're dealing with that they're just projecting onto you, and like, it doesn't make it okay, and people shouldn't troll and be hateful online, but it is something that happens, unfortunately.
It is.
And you kind of need to be prepared for it. If you do want to see us do a video of like reacting to hate comments, I think that'd be freaking hilarious.
My favourite was like, we're here for houseplants, not your dumb dogs. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, get off my channel.
Yeah,
no, we absolutely could do that because it's good to have a giggle about these things. Sad little people that don't have much of a life.
It's better to laugh about them and like try not to take it personally. And I know it's easier said than done, but just like have a giggle. Why not?
Which I think is kind of just to, I guess, kind of, I feel like we've covered a lot of things. Maybe just kind of wrap up. It is about having fun. It's about enjoying what you do, finding ways to be creative, make things your own, meet other creators, connect with your audience. It should be good fun. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not having fun creating videos, potentially it might not be the job for you. Which is totally okay. That's fine.
Of course it is. Of course it is. There's millions of other things out there, and there's millions of other ways to be creative, but
I would suggest probably not investing tons of money in it in the beginning before you know whether or not you have fun with it.
Definitely not. I still to this day, as I already said, have not invested much money in what I do, but a very, very cheap and inexpensive tripod. I still film on my phone. You don't need to chuck a load of money at things. I don't even use a microphone half the time. You can literally probably start with the device that you are watching this video on right now, or listening to this video on. That's all you need.
But like, test it out, give it a try, see whether or not it's something you like. And it could be that you film a video and you decide, maybe this is a video that I would only show my friends and family. Or maybe it's a video that I don't show anyone. And like, doing that as a practice, there's no problem with that.
100%.
You don't, like, you may as well try. There's no harm in trying. If it's something you're interested in, give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, hello, Yuli.
Come here. Hello. Come here.
And also, if you do have a channel, or if you're thinking of starting a channel, drop us a comment with it down below, and we will subscribe. And we would love to see what you guys are up to as well, because the creators that I've met and chatted to have been lovely. They're really. It's Yuli knocking something on the floor. It's a really nice, fun, supportive community. So yeah.
If you have any other questions on this, let us know down below, and we can try and answer them there, or do a part 2 if that is something y'all want.
Apparently we could talk about this for a while. But
Cool.
We hope you enjoyed this. And we hope it was potentially useful, or a little insight into the weird and wonderful world of YouTube.
And even if you aren't interested in making your own channel, just useful to see like how we've dealt with this as a job. And as a lifestyle almost. The YouTuber lifestyle. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, thumbs up down below.
And do a subscribey thing. And also, click the notification bell, and then you will be told when we upload new videos.
Because it's probably not going to be very consistent. We are literally not taking our own advice.
However, if you watch it all the way through, you're doing us a favour. Watch those ads.
There's no ads yet.
There's no ads yet. We're not monetized. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed it, and let us know any ideas for future videos as well. We are always very interested to hear your comments, and we appreciate you being here.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!